Yay.
All right, Melanie.
All right, now we're gonna have
Now
some
we're
real
here with
fun.
Melanie.
Now
So
it really starts.
what I was saying was, is everybody get ready, strap in, because Melanie Kennemann is in the house.
Woohoo!
What would you most like to do for someone else if you had the money and time?
If I had the money and time, what would I like to do for someone else? I think I would buy my mom a house.
Yeah.
I would pay cash and buy my mom a house if I had the time and money. I would probably buy everyone in my family a house. That's what I would do.
That's a nice
And I would
thing
also
to do.
and I would also start like a nonprofit for kids for thinking bigger for the future, like younger kids.
Nice.
Like start some kind of program.
Some sort of philanthropic activity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What would you try if you had no fear?
What would I try if you mean I have fear? What would I try if I had no fear? You know, I think that's a really good question.
You probably eat a lot more.
Yeah, right. No, that goes back to the habit thing, right? I think.
But if you had no fear of the consequences, you know, you guys didn't hear that. But we
you
had a
missed
whole
that
discussion
part.
when we had no audio.
It was so good. So it was the
It
best
was the
parts.
best. It was amazing.
The best you've ever had.
My
Amazing.
God. The insight.
I know. I think. What was the question again? I was back to the fear question.
It is a fear question. What would you try if you
Yeah,
had
okay,
no
that
fear?
was the question. I'm like, didn't you ask me that earlier? We had this fear conversation
Well,
already.
a version of.
I think I would just finally write that book that I've been talking about and just make the time and do it and put that out there. And
What are you afraid of?
I'm not
Are you afraid of people
I guess I'm
hearing
not
your
afraid of it. I just
voice?
haven't done it. There's something that's holding me back. Yeah. Something's held me back from doing that.
You should be in therapy
And
for that.
I should, right? And
Yeah.
having
you have good
my own
things to
TV
say.
show, but we're already working on that. So
Well, this is a precursor.
right.
This is step one.
Okay.
Then is our other activity that we've planned.
That's right.
Then comes the book.
Yeah.
Then the syndication.
I honestly can't think of something where fear's gotten in my way.
You're pretty bold.
I'm pretty bold.
You're pretty bold. All right. In what era would you like to have grown up?
Ooh.
Not now. I know you have kids. Can you imagine growing up now?
It would be hard right now. It would
Yeah.
definitely be. It's a different life now. I think people aren't as connected. I see my kids and how they're so in technology, and it's so hard to get friends now. So I kind of like growing up when I did grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
won't
it was
ask
cool
you
in the
to tell
70s.
Okay.
I don't mind. I like the 70s, but I think it would have been fun. I don't know. Every generation's cool,
Yeah.
right? Every generation's been kind of cool. I'm really glad I didn't grow up in the 60s. I don't know. I like the 70s better.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome everybody. My name is Chad Peevy. I'm the founder of the Flybox Club, and today my very special guest is Melanie Kennemann. Melanie is the team leader CEO of Austin Southwest, Market Center number 1.
One of the two amazing ones, right?
One of the
I
two.
can take half credit.
You can take all the credit because, yeah,
You're so
I
sweet.
asked her if she wanted, when she was going to do the show. This was before, I guess before she knew you were going to do it.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, no. And then today I saw her and I said, Melanie's coming on today. When are you going to do it? She goes, well, I mean, whenever.
Yeah. So you talk about, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
so-
yin and yang thing, right?
So you,
That's
yeah,
why we make
you
such
take
a good
all
team.
the credit, girlfriend.
Okay, good.
All right. So
Good.
if you like sharing things about, we're going to talk about team leaders. We're going to
Okay.
talk about agents. We're going to talk about all things Keller Williams. So if this is something that interests your audience on Facebook, be sure to share the video on your personal page so that you can share it with everybody in your network. And I do, if you don't mind, I need to say hello to one of our new Flower Box Club members in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Hello, everybody. I hope that you're watching. It's great to have you guys on board. Therese Brittingham and Dan Carroll. And also Medford, New Jersey. We're
All right.
excited to have you guys. Tiffany,
New Jersey in the house.
Tiffany,
Woohoo.
yeah, Tiffany out in New Jersey. So glad to have you guys.
And shout out to all my team leader friends who are tuning in.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. All right, Melanie, let's talk
Okay.
about your history. How did you wind up at Keller? Where did your career start? Back us up.
Okay.
Tell us your story.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
I had just moved back. So I'm originally from Los Angeles, and I grew up in Mammoth Lakes in Lake Tahoe, and then ended up back in LA, went to college, was in the movie industry. And I had been shooting a film in New Orleans, which brought me to Germany, right? And then I ended up staying in Hamburg, Germany for 9 weeks.
No, that was not a logical jump. You're going to have to explain that. So I wound up in New Orleans, which is how I wound up in Germany.
Yeah,
no,
okay,
that made
so,
no sense.
Okay, sorry. So I thought you knew all this. I was doing the Cliff Notes version for the audience. Okay. So I was working on a project, a German film production in New Orleans, and then they went back to Germany.
Got it.
And the producers called me and asked me if I'd come to Germany because I knew all the actors. They were trying to sell the whole story to the States, right? They were shooting American actors, things like that. So I said, yes, I'd love to. And I went there and met my husband. And I ended up moving to Klaus Kennemann, double N, double M, which Kennemann means to know people. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yes, exactly. There are no accidents. Now you know. So anyway, I was there running movie sets in another language and had 2 precious boys. And then we moved back to the States, didn't want to raise the kids in LA, and ended up in the Lake Tahoe, Reno area. My mom was there, and I thought, what could I do that was something different every day? You know, the kids were still little, so I really wanted to be involved in their lives. Klaus still traveled a lot for his movies in Germany. And I'm like, what about real estate? And so I got my license, and that was right when the market was literally crashing. Mm-hmm. Nevada was #1 in foreclosures. 2 people I really respected called me, or knew that I was getting in the business. They said, you need to check out this company called Keller Williams. And for me, West Coast girl, been in Europe for 9 years, I'd honestly never heard of the company. So I was the total Keller who. And I went in and met with them, and I knew within minutes this was the company for me. And I felt like this was a company I could never outgrow. And I literally walked out of there and made up my mind that Keller Williams was going to be where I built my business.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started as an agent. So you started
as
an agent, started
brand
selling.
New agent, and I did that. I was very successful. Again, it was a shifted market, so 65% of our business were short sales foreclosures. And I think, again, when you ask me about the fear question, I didn't know any better, right? And it's so much of what we do is our mindset.
It's kind of a blessing to start
absolutely.
in that time period.
Absolutely. I'm glad I learned when I did.
Yeah.
Because if you learn in a market where everything's great and perfect, I think you don't learn
the
right
awakening.
skill. Absolutely. So I hit the ground running, really embraced it. But I always knew, literally like in month 2 of Keller Williams, I was going to be a team leader when I grew up. I'm like, that's the role for me. And apparently the owner thought the same thing. So within 6 months, we were already kind of in the process. And within 10 months, I was the team leader in Reno.
That's quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Now so when I look at all the jobs in Keller Williams, including, I love everybody, but of all the market centers, even of all those jobs at KWRI, I think like the diamond in the crown is the job you have.
Yeah. It's very fun.
It's an amazing job.
It is.
How did you get that job?
Well, I'm not related to anybody. I don't know how I got it. Okay.
It was on your own merit.
It was on my own merit. Okay, so in Reno, I became team leader within 10 months. Now, the reason I think the team leader opportunity attracted me so much is it reminded me, I ran movie sets in Germany. So I was used to running crews and multiple personalities. Mm-hmm. And in fact, when I was doing my ALC interviews for the team leader role, one of the questions was, well, how are you going to, recruit a mega agent, or how are you going to coach a mega agent? And one of the answers was, she worked with, I worked in Hollywood. I worked with actors. You are learning based, and you just need to stay a step ahead of everybody else. And I knew my passion was about making a difference. So I became team leader, and at the time we were about number 4 market share wise locally.
Okay.
And within 3.5 years, we were number 1 in the city.
What year was that?
We were number 1.
Started?
I started in 2007.
Okay.
Like end of 2006. 2006.
Okay.
And I was there 3.5 years as a team leader. And I stayed through 2010, and then I was here January 2011. So when I left Reno at the end of the year of 2010, we were number 1 in our city, regardless of company. Number 1 in my Southwest region for Keller Williams, and number 21 in the entire company for Keller Williams.
That's impressive.
And so, and why was I so successful? Is I just plugged in and took all the training. I networked. I built relationships. I learned from others, and that really opened the door for coming here.
Who called you about this job?
Well, actually, I approached my owner, because you can't just, as a team leader, you can't just go, you can't recruit team leaders away. That's a no-no.
Okay.
It's just like team leader to team leader, we don't recruit each other's agents, right? We don't do that. We work together. So I went to my owner and I said, I just think there's an opportunity. And honestly, I was thinking I was going to be a bold coach. I really fell in love with bold. And I thought, I want to go help people change their lives like I feel like bold is changing mine. And I knew there was something else out there for me. And I went to my owner and I said, I would like your permission to put myself out there. And there was some history there. There were, we had a plan, and then he changed the plan. So there are things that happened that led me to look to other opportunities.
Wasn't a surprise for anybody.
No, exactly. And so I got his blessing, and I put myself out there. And honestly, because of, I'm just so lucky, I could have gone wherever I wanted. Honestly, I met Diane Johnson in Austin, Texas, at a recruit select class here with John Davis. And her and I hit it off instantly. So when I put myself out there, she called me and she said, well, actually the other team leader, Eric Copper, was going back into production at the end of the year. And would this be something I'm interested in? And I thought long and hard about it. And the bold coaching thing, because I was thinking coaching, build my own mega team, and I could live wherever I wanted, right? I also wanted to get out of Reno because at the school rankings had just come out, and Nevada was ranked 49 out of 50 states, things like that. So,
but don't bowl coaches travel quite a bit?
They travel.
So with your kids, that's exactly
why I said, you know what? And it's funny because I know a lot of team leaders that will listen to this will relate. You think you're done at 3.5 years. That's your mindset. It's like, oh, I got this, right? I've got this mastered. You are just beginning then. And I'm so grateful that I did make the decision to move to Austin, because now January will be 6 years I've been here. So I'm in my 10th year as a team leader, and I'm so glad I stuck it out so much longer because I feel like I've really worked on mastery, right?
How many agents are in this office now?
900.
So that's a lot of agents.
It's a lot of agents.
And one of the questions, I'm going to go a little out of order, but
yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about that. You said team leaders may think 3.5 years and I've got it, I've mastered it. How do you keep setting goals when the reality is already ridiculous?
Right.
How do you continue to push through that when, even if you sat back and this is the biggest one?
I know, right? It's we're done, right? Well,
right.
Complacency is the opposite. It's the enemy of great, right? It's the opposite of doing anything. So you can't ever be complacent. And I think the only reason I left Reno is I felt like I wasn't challenged anymore. I really felt my work was done because I felt like I knew everybody in that city. It was a small town, and there were other reasons I wanted to personally grow. But here, it's like, and even in any role, whatever market center you're in, it's a different year every year. It's a different, every opportunity of every conversation with any agent it's a different person. They're going through different things. When I moved to Austin, I did not think it was possible to have 10 recruiting appointments a week. Like, that blew my mind. When John Davis came out, and if he watches this, I'm in trouble. I was like, that's not happening. Because this girl would net, I'd net 6 people a month, no problem, with 10 hires.
Uh-huh.
It was a little bit different, right? I could net easily with less people. So when I moved to Austin, to this big market center, where attrition was a much different issue, I had to really change my mindset. And so I think if you stay learning based and you're always looking at, you have to keep raising that bar, and you celebrate for a minute, like, woohoo, we hit that, but what's next? Because if you don't keep setting the goal or reinventing yourself and reinventing who you are as a person, not just the role, you have to keep developing yourself as a person. I think that's why I've been able to stay so long too.
There was about, I think, 1.5 years ago, and we started sniffing the shift in the market. And there were some grumblings around the market center. They're like, the ladies are going to go out on top. They're going to Seinfeld this.
See ya.
And they're going to check out. But I think everybody looked around, and at the time it was like 800 and something agents. They're like, this is the top number we've had since way back
and
when.
We were stuck there for about 8 months.
But then nobody left.
No.
You guys are stuck in this role.
That's right.
And now we're like this new ceiling.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's the new terrain.
Really
it's the
insane.
new territory. We got a nice little email from Gary Keller on that one too.
I think that's
and honestly, when I came here, and we were just over 500, right? We're just over 500 agents. We were profit sharing about 400,000 for the year. Mm-hmm. And you look at our numbers now. At that time, I don't think I could have imagined, even 6 years ago, I don't think I could have imagined us at 900 agents.
Profit sharing how much?
Profit sharing $1 million
a year.
Yeah.
Going back to the agents.
And that's just me. Like, David Jones is our Bold coach right now, so we're wrapping up Bold next week. And David and I have known each other for a long time because we go back to way back from my beginnings as a team leader. And he was saying the same thing, that, when I met David was a different guy. And when he met Melanie was a different person. And the people we are today are different people. We were always the same person with them, but the work we've been willing to do and the focus and the work on ourselves, we're actually different people today. It's like Bold says, the same man never goes in the same river twice.
Yeah.
if you're always evolving, we call it E to P, and you've probably heard of that, entrepreneurial to purposeful. A lot of people stay stuck in entrepreneurial because a lot of us are really good at that, and we can get pretty big lives with our entrepreneurial gifts. I can definitely relate to that. So you fight it and you fight it, and then you realize when you have a coach or somebody who just doesn't let it go, and you have a breakthrough, it's like, holy cow, look at the view up here. Right. And that ceiling that I had for so long is now I'm walking on that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's definitely been the experience in the last 6 years of my journey in Austin. Yeah.
Well, I love that you're constantly you're constantly evolving and becoming a new person, and new people have new goals.
They do. You know? Yeah, and you have to keep moving, right?
Tell us about the job of a team leader. What is your day-to-day like? You mentioned that you didn't think 10 appointments a week was possible. Yeah. What is that? What is your life like now?
Yeah, if I don't have 10 appointments a week, I feel like a real loser. You know, it's like the new reality, right? So number one is that is just what I do. It's just what I do. And then I want to be coaching with somebody every day. I want to be doing my lead gen every day. We always have these meetings we're going to. And my focus in 2017 is I really want every meeting to be completely purposeful, because we have a limited time as team leaders. As agents, here's the cool thing. What's the team leader's job? I just had a recruit that I believe I just got. Talent. And I was telling him that my job is the same as yours. It's just I'm role modeling the behavior that you should be doing as an agent. And if you watch what I do and what Diane does, and you do that, watch out. There's your empire. And it's discipline, it's focus, it's succeeding through others. Mm-hmm. Our agents are our number one, right? Every day, if I'm not in relationship or sharing things with them, I mean, they're my number one priority, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with the agent with their clients. So for a team leader, how are you spending your day? You're connecting with your people, and I think you have to get really creative when you're this size. Yeah. And we can talk about that more later. But just 2 appointments a day is my goal, just like any agent should be doing their listing appointments, right? Because if you're not growing, you're going backwards. And then I want to be out of here by 6 o'clock at the latest. Yeah. I have dinner with my family every night, awesome, unless I have an event, and I'm home with them. And when I'm home, I'm mom. I'm still a mom first. I'm CEO of the Kennemann household. Well, and I think you need that balance, right?
Yeah. So you're team leader and CEO here. That is your title, right? Co-team leader, co-CEO. Sure. Uh-huh.
We have 2.
So where does the balance come? Because you have a staff, and I want you to talk about the size of the staff here. I think when people hear that there are 13
small size of the staff?
People on staff or an office
between 5 locations.
Yeah. That's pretty insane. So talk about the split between the CEO function and the team leader function, which I'm guessing this team leader would be more appointments, coaching, driving the agents, and the CEO, the management of the business.
Is the number side, right?
Talk about that a little bit.
So the CEO role is really a title that we just use so that the rest of the world understands it.
It's like saying market center.
Technically, Mary Tennant is, she's the owner of the company. Yeah. So when we explain what that is, the team leader, like, what are you the team leader of? So who's your team, right? And we're like, well, you guys are our team. Mm-hmm. The entire market center is our team. So when we talk about the CEO and team leader, we just kind of use that as all encompassing.
Well, how much time are you managing the staff? How much time are you doing? You're not in QuickBooks every day. Right?
Thank goodness.
You've succeeded through other people.
Yes, we succeed through other people because we have a very small staff for the size that we have. I mean, if you look at the 7,000 to 8,000 contracts we do per year, mm-hmm, $2.2 billion in sales, 5 locations. That's 4 business centers plus our location here. To have that 15-person count of staff, that's including a part-time weekend receptionist, right? Let's just be real here. Clear. So everybody on our team has to be exceptionally awesome and has to be a driven, responsible person that has the right attitude. And you can tell if they're not. And we've had some weak links. When you have a weak link on the team and you have such an extraordinary team, the team will remind you, just in case you didn't see. And I love that. So we start every morning with a huddle. Okay. And that's for the team leader department. So it's Diane, myself, our agent services coordinator, and our assistant, Andrea, who's back from maternity leave.
Yes, we're so glad she's back.
After 2 months. High five.
That's great. We're so happy.
It's a great day at Keller Williams today. And it's all...
Every day is a great day.
Every day is a great day. Melanie. And today is exceptionally awesome. And so what we do is we're talking about our pipeline. It's all about what's coming up, what events do we have coming up, who are we talking to, and the pipeline report is, who do we have coming in, who's gone out, who's coming to orientation, and then we talk about kind of big things happening in the market center. And we're done with that by 9:15, then everybody's off on their way to lead gen or doing what they want to do. Staff meeting, every Monday morning we do a huddle on once a week. And then we do a monthly staff meeting. But really, we have a lot of in-house, emails going back and forth. But we really expect everybody on our team to work at a really high level. And they have to be efficient, effective, and everybody's priority needs to be the agent.
So at this level, you cannot have a weak link because the weak link, it's exaggerated if there is a weak link in this small of a staff with this much pressure on that staff. How do you keep that staff motivated and going and at the top of their game every day?
That's a great question. The good thing is you don't have to if you have the right people.
With the right people, yeah.
You don't have to with the right people. Sometimes you have to help them self-discover that they're not the right person. And for example,
it's a lesson you guys have taught me, which has been very. That's awesome. I love how you guys approach that. Talk about that. Talk about that self-discovery.
Well, when you have a person, they're obviously not happy in the role.
Yeah.
When people aren't succeeding, it's pretty obvious, right? And so you're doing them a disservice by allowing them to stay in that role. And sometimes there's the fear, right? That sometimes they have the fear of not having a job or the unknown. And so what we've done, and we've had this a couple of times, is we sit them down. In fact, this last time we had it, she's like, "Uh-oh, am I in trouble? I know this conversation." And we said, "No, we're good. We just want to make sure you're happy because it's kind of showing up that you're not."
It's an opportunity for them to course correct.
It is. So either you are happy and you want this job and you really want to be a team player, and how can we help you succeed at a higher level? Is it something from our end that we haven't given you, or how can we help you find really what life is too short to be in a role that's not fit for you. And it's funny because I had one person one time that really it was such a disconnect for that person. And finally, it all worked out beautifully. But you have to just help people self-discover how they're not happy in the role, and therefore it's affecting everybody else if you really have to go that far.
And that's not one meeting.
No,
it's not
multiple.
one self-discovery meeting. It's a series.
Because you're
dealing with people,
you
right?
are, and you invested so much in that person to get them on your team.
That's
right. We want to part ways beautifully as well. We only want to set people up, whether it's just a different, moving them to another piece in the organization, or we're going to work for an agent that's maybe not as fast moving as what we need them to do,
That's great.
I love relationships are key, right?
Right. I want to talk about what is your dynamic with your OP. Talk about, for other team leaders out there, the dynamics here. So I've been in market centers where the OP is extremely active, to the point of running team meetings.
Sure.
To where I cannot tell
where
you
the last... Where you want to say, let it go, let the team leader do their job.
and I can't tell you the last time I've seen Mary Tennant here, right?
She'll be here next Tuesday.
Well, I mean, she's here, but she's not...
It's true, it's
she's
very
not
different.
running the day-to-day that we see. So talk about that dynamic.
I think, every market center is so different on that. I had the previous OP, what you just said, and I think Diane did too in our previous cities that we're in. Very involved. And you know what? It was okay at the time because I was a new team leader. And then by the end, that's probably where it started not working for both of us. Today, 6 years in with Mary Tennant, we've earned the right with Mary Tennant that she really trusts Diane and myself. So we meet at least once a month, mostly twice a month, and then we'll have a citywide meeting as well. And really, we're talking about what's going on in the market center. Like, she's there to support us. She still decides, she's the owner. She decides the money, anything that's going to change, that's her job, right? Mm-hmm. But she really... she's there as a resource. And the cool thing about Mary Tennant, and come on, how many people, their OP is like Mary Tennant, right? That's pretty amazing. Yeah. She's always teaching us something. She's always teaching us something about, why this or how she's, one thing about Mary Tennant I think people don't know is she's just incredibly great at negotiating and legal issues and things like that. That's her forte. She's like amazing. So she's always kind of teaching us her thought process along the way. So I know every meeting, we're very different people, but I always feel respected by her, and I know our vision is the same. So I just think we have a really unique OP team leader. I haven't been in a bunch of offices, right? I can only say my 2 relationships, but I really like the relationship, how much freedom Mary gives us because she has trust in us.
So you've earned the trust so from an OP perspective, I would imagine people are thinking, I would like to not
Yeah.
be involved.
Right.
If my team leader could step up, but the team leader is probably thinking, I don't want them involved. But the
Right.
team leader has to earn
You have to earn it.
that
You have
spot.
to earn it. You have to earn it.
Because
And
you
at
want
the
to succeed
beginning-
through people, right? The owner's not succeeding at the
Absolutely.
highest level if they're
Right.
having to be
Exactly.
entrepreneurial in their business, right?
And at the beginning, I have to say, I say that now, 6 years as a team in, but at the beginning, we were meeting with Mary much more often, right? As a team, just weekly, just making sure that we were on the same goals. What's going on? What's your one thing, right?
Yeah.
And now we've earned the right that we really can come in and we know what she wants, and we can tell her new projects going on and things like that. So, but I think team leaders make that mistake often on their end, that they want it all so quickly, but you have to earn the right.
Yeah.
And on the OP side, once the team leader has earned the right, allow them to do what you hired them to do, or otherwise be the team leader, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's a really special relationship, though. And when you have a real team leader OP relationship, that's your biggest advocate, right? It's so.
They're your
leaders,
champion.
They are, absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me about we've talked about the recruiting stuff a little bit. Tell me about your retention conversation. I know that people come and
The
go,
ongoing
right? People come
retention
and go.
conversation,
Yeah.
yeah.
So and unfortunately, I know that we in this market center we lost a pretty significant person a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
What is the conversation like when someone's looking at greener pastures, or what they think is greener pastures?
I think the question is always, because it doesn't matter how big you are. It's like when an agent loses a great client. Like, what happened? How in the world would you think that other place is going to bring you more value? When it hurts when somebody is really succeeding because of the efforts you've put into them, and then they go and they don't really have a reason, and because they feel pressured, and they're probably going to be back,
or they're just looking for a change.
Exactly. And it's like the 7-year itch thing, but they just had it faster or something. And I've been doing this long enough to know that that's just part of it, and I don't take it personal anymore. It used to hurt really bad when someone would leave, and I'd be like, what happened?
Yeah.
The person can be so highly engaged. It's just life, right? The point is if you offer value and you handle that with grace and compassion, say, I'm really sad you made that decision, and I am so excited to welcome you back. When you realize that you just needed to try something else. And, I had an agent last year that within a week he was back, and he's like, I just needed to realize what I was part of.
Right.
And I didn't realize how special it was until I just, for a week, was away, right? And so I think retention is an ongoing issue that you will always have the larger you get. I mean, a normal retention, like attrition number, is 30%. 30% just by attrition you'll lose every year, because people get inactive, or they decide it's harder than they thought, or they get relocated, or they move to another market center that's closer to their home. It's just part of the process. That's why you have to build that in to your gross number, right? And not take it personal. And from every person that leaves, let's just be real, having the opportunity to say, what could we have done differently, and learning from it. It's no different from what the agents are doing. And treating them with respect and class, and saying, you know what, I really look forward to being in business with you in the future. Now, there's some people we have to ask to leave, right? And they're just not an ethical fit or something like that. And those aren't as hard to do, right? It's disappointing, but it's the ones that you really have invested in. Attrition's going to be part of it. And we just keep saying, what could we do differently? How can we be better?
But I love how you leave the door open.
Always.
Like,
and they come back, too.
Yeah, we see that
and
a
I've
lot.
seen that a lot.
That's awesome. Well, it is time now for the lightning round. So just a few real quick questions just off the top of your head.
Uh-oh.
Free or complimentary?
Complimentary.
Why is that?
I like the word better.
It's more syllables.
Especially if you say it with an English accent. Complimentary.
A day at the beach or a day at the pool?
Beach. I can do the pool anytime.
Well, and I've seen your
I'm a pretty
Facebook
cool.
backyard, right?
You and all my other Facebook friends, right? I apologize.
No, it's awesome. What's your big why?
My big why is making a difference every day. To my family first, and to everybody I come across. Making a difference.
Austin or California?
That would I'd have to ask a question of what. Austin for living,
Okay.
California for visiting. How about that? Austin for buying real estate and having a wonderful building your wealth. Austin.
There's always a Sophie's Choice question that I ask in these, and that's,
Okay.
one baby's got to die. Which one is it? Austin or California? And
Chad.
so we don't typically do. I don't ever sell anything on this show. But I do need to ask you, because you were involved in bringing the Flower Box Club here.
Absolutely.
So I do want to just spend just a couple of minutes
Sure.
talking about what was going on in the Market Center
Sure.
before this came about, and what was the decision like to bring me in.
Well, your leading question up to this was, how do you feel when somebody leaves? And what's part of that is the exit interview and what could we have done differently. And we really worked with our ALC, as you know, on this. And one of the things we came up was that we were missing kind of that easy button, or that middle range of, like, the agent doesn't have their team yet, they need leverage, they need help, but they're not ready to hire somebody, right?
Yeah.
And so, and thank goodness you had that relationship from us before when Julie Nelson introduced us. And boy, did we go through a lot of interviews
Yes,
with our
we did.
ALC. I mean, it was not something overnight that we decided, because we were in for the long run. We knew and we had other interviewees, remember?
Right.
We had different candidates that had great resumes. And I think the thing that we really liked about you was your long-term strategy. You thought bigger, like the market centers do.
Mm-hmm.
And what that did for us is you've really filled a void that was missing, I feel, in our market center. And you're not an employee, but you're like to me, you're another team member for us. You're just not on our salary, right? And I can come in here with an agent who I'm coaching who needs help with social media or wants to rebrand themselves or whatever it is, and I know I have that resource here. So that's been, such a game changer for us in my recruiting, having our marketing division,
Yes.
right? And having that be self-funded is a beautiful thing. So, I mean, it has really filled a void that I feel like we were really, really missing the boat on in Austin. Big
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Good. Well, I appreciate you
How
bringing
do
it
you
in.
feel about it?
I think it's
How
wonderful.
How do
I
you
think
feel
we'll keep
about
it up.
working in a...
I think we'll keep it up. If you're interested in learning more about the Flower Box Club, you can go to helpmymarketcenter.com and check out a webinar where we talk about what it means to have a Flower Box Club in your market center, or you can just give us a call or
Well, do you have
email us.
where's this link they can go to and check out all the different, like I can pull out a book, which is so cool, a book of like all the different cards our agents have
we
and things
give
like
them
that. And it's really cool because they're like, they can really visualize
They get all the team
A
leaders
flyer box.
get a flyer, this box, and inside you get all sorts of samples
cool.
that show you what's possible. So
Well, it's just because we teach, the agent, it's agents first, agents branding, they brand themselves, they're a company within a company, right?
Right.
And so when they can visually see what others are doing, I think it's really cool.
it helps.
Yeah,
So,
it does.
Yeah.
So
Excited
enough
to be
about
here.
Chad.
Enough about that. Let's talk about your attitude.
Oh, my attitude. Woo!
It's actually the topic. So your
It's actually
attitude.
the topic.
It is. It is
Okay.
my header. You're one of the most positive people I know,
Aw.
and
I was worried where you were going with that.
no, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
So when I first met you, I really, because you and I talked about this
Yeah.
question the other day, and
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it more and more. And so I think when people are as turned on as you are all the time,
Yeah.
some others could look at that and go, "That's not authentic.
Right.
She's faking it."
Right.
And I was thinking, with our conversation, I was like, I never thought about that with you, but in the beginning, I did think that about you.
Sure.
And I wanted
Yeah.
to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
So, but I think that my
I'm glad you're doing it in the live stream.
But I think that my
Glad you saved it for
skepticism,
this.
I think my skepticism was my own internal issues with that.
Absolutely.
I don't think it had anything to
It
do
always
with you.
is, right?
Right?
It's projection.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was uncomfortable with that because
Yeah.
I'm not always like that
Sure.
for sure. But you, I have never, not one time, one day, seen you
Really? You've
off
been here long
or
enough.
down,
Well,
or I've never seen you be catty or
that's true.
bitchy. You're always
Mm-hmm.
just on.
I'm blushing.
No. How on God's green earth, with all that's going on here, do you keep it so positive and energetic?
It's funny. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Are
I've
you
heard
on
that
drugs?
I'm not. I'm not even on caffeine, people. I'm not even on caffeine at all. That's the irony of it all. I think it just all starts with your mindset, right? It talks about it's all about your attitude. And I remember in Reno, when I would be touring people around, and I had my skeptical agents at the beginning, like, who is this girl? And literally, I had one guy in my office that every time I would tour someone through it, he's like, she's really like this all the time. Like
Yes.
That was Peter, and he would say that every time. He'd say, she's actually really like this all the time. It's awesome, and she's totally genuine. Don't let her like excitedness fool you. That's who she is. And I think back, and I try to remember when that started, but honestly, I think that's just who I am, and I've chosen that path my whole life. So even in I can think back to high school. In high school, being really active in leadership and just making a difference and things like that. I just think every day you have a choice. I'm a middle child, maybe that has to do with it, but I think the half full mentality and that optimistic attitude is so powerful. And I come back to bold again, and it says, and one of my favorite bold laws is, you teach people how to treat you. And I ran movie sets in Germany, which is a very male-dominated, long-hour career, okay? Yeah. And you work 20-hour days sometimes. And my job as a set manager, that's the job that's responsible for everything. It's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. And still, I would have the same attitude at running a movie set where time is money. I mean, it's always time is money. But I remember this sound guy coming to me at my last shoot that I ever did, because I was pregnant with Ben. I was going to wrap up and not do movies anymore. And he said, "You are the least yelled at set manager I've ever worked with." And I mean that as the biggest compliment. People treat you with such respect, and you demand that in such a loving way. I've never seen that before. And he said, "I mean that as a huge compliment." And so I took that as such a compliment, and I've kept that in me ever since. And ever since I've been in real estate on this path, I think, when I meet somebody, I always see them for the great person I think that they are. And I heard Diana Kokoska say once, she says she gives them a 10 until they prove her otherwise. Mm. I feel that way, but I think I also see them beyond what they see themselves. And I think that's just such a better way to live.
Well, I think that makes you a really great team leader.
Oh, I think that's why
Seeing
it's natural.
The potential. Yeah.
Because I see the potential in people, and that's really what I celebrate, right? When people have successes and I see them get through something that was tough, and I see them be able to turn their life around and really make a difference. That's why. That's exactly why I do.
Do you have down days?
Absolutely.
Do you stay at home?
No.
You would just come in and turn it on?
If I'm sick, I would stay home.
Yeah.
As we know.
Yeah.
But if I'm down, I think I do a lot of just affirmation work.
Okay.
I don't think you would know that I was down.
No.
I think you would know my energy is maybe not as big as normal. Mm-hmm. But I think you wouldn't know, because I wouldn't allow it to get in my day. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think when you have gratitude too, it's hard to be in a place of, sure, I get upset if something happens, but my mindset is always, what can we do about it? What can we do about it solution-based wise? Mm-hmm. And I see how other people sometimes don't think that way, and I'm like, no, well, we don't know that. Let's not go to the dark side.
Yes.
We don't know that. So I'm always going to the goodness, and you know what? I'm usually right. And I don't mean that I'm right. Write that down, because you get what you expect.
Yeah, you do.
And you teach people how to treat you.
Yes, you do.
Right?
That's very, very sage advice.
It's nothing like I knew it, but it's like funny, I've never seen that in that person before. He treats me with respect. He always, right?
Yeah.
So you teach people how to treat you. So I think if somebody's not experiencing that, they should just look in the mirror and see how are they showing up every day.
That's a very valuable lesson in business. Mm. Treating people how to treat you, or teaching people how to treat you.
Absolutely. Even
with Pasha with his parents.
Sure.
He's a teacher
boundaries.
With parents, setting boundaries. And if you let it go one time, you can expect it's going to happen again. You have to teach them how to treat you. You want to get paid on the 1st of every month? Then you have a late fee on the 2nd.
That's right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
You will pay me on this day.
I remember being I remember being a brand new agent in Reno, and it would drive Klaus crazy when my phone would ring at 8:30 at night. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Aren't you going to get that, Melly?" And I'd say, "No, why? I'm reading the boys a story where it's bedtime for them. This is my family time. Yes. And if it's emergency, they'll call 911.
That's right. we're not doing organ transplants.
Exactly.
Right? Come on.
Let's get real people.
Yeah.
So you teach your clients how to treat you, right? Sunday was always my family day. I didn't work Sundays. My clients knew that and they respected that. And now if there was an emergency or something, I'm going to be there for them.
Sure.
But then I'll take another day off, right? But you teach people how to treat you, and that's by having standards, and the way you treat others is what you get back. And that's not always. I still get mean people sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, well, next time.
Next time. I want to ask you, we've already talked a lot about recruiting and retention, but with how many recruiting appointments do you do a week?
So minimum is 10. So it'll range from 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
Yeah.
And how many agents on average a month do we bring into this office?
30.
About 30 new agents a month. Those are big numbers.
So it's over 300 this year so far to net 80.
So, yeah, it's a lot. So how do you fill your recruiting calendar? What are those activities that get people in those appointments?
Succeed through others.
Okay.
We could not do what we do without our agents, right? Relationships with people. And that's my favorite anyway. It's just like agents with their business, right? The return of investment on a referral from somebody is so much higher than, your internet leads where it's 3% conversion rate or whatever, right? So really investing in letting people know what we're doing. We do some advertisement with the real estate schools and some Craigslist stuff and stuff like that. But really, it's leads through people and just saying, who do you know that we can help? And sometimes it's the coolest conversation, because I think one thing, if we could really help people is how to recruit, is don't try to recruit people, but get them excited about talking to a team leader. And literally, Melody Birdsong, if you're watching, her and Patrick, her husband, were at a competitor's company, and literally Holly Priestner was in the junior league with Melody, and Melody was talking about her business. And so the point is just listening. And what Melody was saying is they wanted to build a business. They weren't getting help where they were. And Holly said, you know what, you really need to talk to Melanie. She loves helping people build teams. Mm-hmm. And we got together. She came to met me here at the office, and all we talked about was her business. Because honestly, that's all I'm interested in. If I'm telling somebody I'm going to meet with you about your business, that's all it is. Because time will tell if we're a match, right? And now she's been here a year, and she's plugged in, and she's already going to be teaching an Ignite class next year, right? And it's so cool, that process. So I think succeeding through others by teaching them how to do things the right way and seeing opportunities around them.
Very cool. All right, Melanie, it's time for Word Nerd.
Word Nerd.
Word Nerd. So I'm going to ask you I'm going to give you a few words, and you're going to tell me what this word means. It's more fun if you don't know to make something up.
Okay.
So the first one, what's really fun is me pronouncing these words.
Yes.
Bibliobibuli.
Oh, that's an easy one.
What is that?
That's that's the song from the Cinderella. The bibbidi bobbidi boo.
Can
that's
you sing
in there.
that for us?
It's bibliobiblu. And it's part of the
I don't
song.
think that. Would you like to? Okay. Perfect.
Bibliobibuli.
It's someone who reads too much.
Oh, okay.
That's the
Okay.
Dictionary one. All right.
All
What's the next
Someone
one?
who reads too much.
Someone who reads
biblio.
Too much. Gowned.
Yeah, that's a really bad rash.
You're very close. You're really close. That is the gunk that collects in the corners of your eyes during sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, who knew?
Wow.
All right, here's the next one. It is Biffy.
That would be Betty's nickname in college.
Oh, well, she's a busy girl. It's a toilet or an outhouse.
Oh.
So all of you real estate
biffy?
agents, this is something that you could use in your property descriptions. I want to see that on property descriptions. It
comes with a
two-bedroom,
biffy.
two biffy. Two-bedroom, two biffy.
Two biffy, yes.
Yeah, all right. The next one is...
Where do you find these?
I searched long and hard. Dipsomania.
Okay, it's for somebody that's not very intelligent.
Dipsomania. I can see where you can get that. Yeah. It's uncontrollable craving for alcohol.
Oh.
I'll say that one for Diane.
You said it, not me.
All right. The next one, factotum.
That would be a Latin word for the list of facts about history.
That's a very good guess. It's an employee or an assistant who does just about everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's word
Just
nerd.
about everything.
Just about everything. Not
Okay.
everything, but
All
just
right.
about.
Interesting.
All right, so that's Word Nerd. Next week is Wendy Papasan. Wendy Papasan will be here in the
She's
in
amazing.
the house. She is amazing.
She's amazing.
What should I ask her?
Well, gosh, I don't know. But Wendy Papasan is just a really, really amazing person with amazing story. You know, I would ask her about how she took her business from 3 million to 50 million.
Okay.
I would ask her about life balance. Actually, Wendy Papasan is the person who inspired me to get help at home first, because that was one of her first hires as a mom who's, you know, really busy. Sometimes number one help you need is home, right? And so getting that leverage. Ask them about, you know, her and Jay are big investors, investment properties, passive income.
Okay.
Those are good ones. And she actually travels a lot and talks about the life balance.
All right.
With kids and how she's built her empire.
Awesome.
3 to 50.
That's incredible.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And she's doing expansion stuff.
Yep, she is.
So
She's in Kansas City.
If you're interested in expansion, be sure to tune in next. I don't know. It's next week.
Next week.
It's next week. It's on the Facebook page. Check it out.
It's next week.
It's next
right
week.
there.
I think it's
next
the same
week.
day, but a different time. Okay, so this is an Ask Me Anything conversation. So if you guys on Facebook have questions, please go ahead and put those in the comment box, and we'll ask Melanie any of your questions. Now's the time to add those in.
Anything.
Ask her anything.
Ooh, that could be dangerous.
You're getting...
Within reason, right?
That's very cool.
I do have some rowdy friends, so.
Well, let's see if they ask you any questions. But while they submit their questions, what do you see as the biggest challenge agents face when they start with you?
As a brand new agent, you
Yeah.
mean, like a brand new agent faces?
Yeah.
I think if they're not realistic about the work it takes to be successful, you know, not being able to prioritize the tasks they need to do every day, right? I think the biggest mistake I see new agents making that are new to real estate is they're afraid. They have fear. They have fear of being rejected by their peers because they're new, right? So they're afraid to come out to their sphere and say, I'm so excited I got my real estate license, and, you know, who do you know that can help support me create this wonderful empire I'm building? And I think once they do it, they realize it's not nearly as hard as they thought it was. But so the biggest challenge is that they don't get into lead generation fast enough. They've got so much help around them. I mean, again, I'm just so lucky. Another gift in disguise, when I was getting licensed, it took 5 months for my license to get active once I'd passed everything, because they had such a backlog. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what can I do? I want to make this happen. So I actually went out and I had 4 listings before I actually was even licensed, just from that passion and going out and talking to people. So it's having the conversations. They're afraid to have the conversations because they're afraid to not know everything. And it's okay to not know everything because you have this amazing team behind you. You
know what? I was experiencing a little of this myself, not feeling like I was up to par. And afraid of putting myself out there. So I went to a conference, an industry conference.
Okay.
And I also started getting more involved in just like getting on webinars and looking at what other people are doing. In real estate, I would imagine that'd be shadowing people, going on listing appointments with them, shadow them at open houses.
Right.
And just by seeing what other people are doing, that made me personally be like, I got this.
Exactly.
I'm good.
So much less intimidating, right?
So much less intimidating. Just to see what the reality is.
Most of us are visual learners anyway.
Yes.
So it's when you see it actually happening, it's so less scary than you
thought. And we work it up in our mind.
We do.
That it's so much more than it really is.
You know what fear stands for, right?
Tell me.
False evidence appearing real.
You're so smart.
I just went to a lot of Keller Williams training.
What do top producing agents are the top producing agents that you're meeting with in your coaching?
Yes.
What are they most excited about, and what are they most concerned about in 2017?
For 2017, I think they're most excited about where they're going and like the systems and people they want to add because they have clarity, which is exciting, right? When you take time to focus on your business and break it down and say, okay, what's working, what's not working. You know, I'm recruiting right now a gal that had to get rid of a lot of baggage, and now she feels like she's really ready to move forward. So sometimes getting rid of the wrong people or wrong systems can be the best thing you can do, right? So clarity about where they want to go, and very intentional and very purposeful. So clarity is number one, I think, for a lot of people that I'm coaching with, that they really feel like they are purposeful because they feel like, is the market softening? Is there a shift? Is it seasonality? You know, we're not sure in Austin quite yet. We know it's happening in the luxury market, right? So I've met with some of the luxury agents that part of their plan is they have to have a bigger scale of who they're serving, right? But as far as the fear is, I think the fear is always, is there going to be enough? And so I think this purposefulness, right? As it shifts and softens, there's less opportunities. But I think who has less opportunities are the people that are not going to be focused and doing the right activities. They're probably just going to get out of the business. That's what a shift will do. And again, I go back to when I started, that's all we knew had to do, and we had amazing numbers and amazing businesses. And so we've been so blessed in Austin, Texas to have such a great real estate market that it's kind of like, you know, if you don't run into a buyer or somebody somewhere, it's like you're just not talking to enough people. Where now we're seeing that shifting, and your opportunities might not be as easy to come by, right? Yeah. So you have to be intentional. Therefore, it has to be part of your day. And the people that are experienced and have been through multiple markets, they really get that. So so I think the fear is really just the fear of is there a shift, or will there be enough? But the fear is answered by that fear is not for the top producers. The top producers know that when a market shifts, that's more opportunity for them, right? Those that gain market share during a shift have just gone like double, right? They've just taken territory big time. Yeah. It's the ones that don't do it should be fearful. They're the ones that are fearful, the onesie-twosies a year, right? And they don't need to be fearful. They just need to do the activities and find the motivated, right? Because there's so much real estate happening, and there will continue to be so much real estate happening in Austin, Texas.
So Andrea has a question. If you have questions, now's the time to put those into the comments section. Let's see. Andrea says, what is your biggest professional regret, and how did you learn from it?
Okay, probably a bad hire. I made a bad hire in Reno. It was somebody I shouldn't have hired, and I thought the system would take care of itself on its own. It was somebody that couldn't get licensed because they had a felony. And in my core, I knew I shouldn't hire that person. And so I just trusted that the system would weed him out. Mm-hmm. Well, the system let him through. So he got licensed, and then I had to fire him. I had to fire him. So, and that wasn't like a huge thing, but it didn't sit right with me because I should have just dealt with it from the beginning. So that's probably the only one. That's not too bad.
I think you're doing all right.
I'm a fail forward. I mean,
fail
it's like,
forward.
how about
I love
for the
that.
day? How about for the day? What have I messed up on? You know, it's just a learning opportunity.
That's right. It's a learning opportunity. I love that. And it's good to be around people that also are of that mindset.
Absolutely.
How many times do I screw up, right? But thank God I'm around people who understand we're all failing forward together.
Yes, and you know what? People will love you more for your humility and just owning it and saying, well, I messed that up.
Screw that one up. Joanna Brown.
Hi, Joanna.
Wants to know, what's the favorite song you sing?
The favorite song.
The favorite song you sing.
Oh, because she's a singer. She likes those songs. Mm-hmm. Like my affirmation song, probably.
Would you like to?
I don't know. Oh, you mean like sing? I don't think she was asking that.
How implied? Yeah. How important are scripts to you?
Scripts are really important. You know, the longer you've been in the business, and like having the conversations, the more natural they are for you. You know, and I think scripts at the beginning, I really resisted scripts.
I can see that with you.
Yeah. Because I figured, I got this. Yeah. I'm really good with people. And I don't mean that from an arrogant way, but I'm used to dealing with people.
You're a people person.
I understand people's energies and things like that. What I kind of pushed off is that scripts just make you more powerful in your conversations, right? And so when I embraced scripts, I saw my conversions, and I realized it just made me... It accelerated my success, right? Mm-hmm. So scripts, if you're having issues with scripts, then you just need to find a way to practice them and say them in a way that you feel comfortable. Sometimes tweaking a word or something, like if a word really doesn't sit well with you, it's probably not a script you want to use, because you're never going to use it, because
you want to internalize it.
You want to internalize it and make it yours. And when you own it, I remember 2 agents went door knocking, and they were kind of alternating, and they went to this one house, and the lady who answered said, gosh, well, I'm losing my house, I don't, whatever. She gave them, and they said, we didn't have a script for that. And I said, wow, that was your biggest opportunity of the whole day, was to say, well, would you be interested in learning how we can help you get out of a distress situation, right? Mm-hmm. And so scripts are like, you're not the deer in headlights person. So when something happens, you're like, oh, I've been there, done that. Like now when we go through Bold or whatever, it's like you've heard that conversation before, and when you can help somebody self-discover, you're just handling an objection, right? An objection is just an unanswered question that they have. So that's good. When people are asking you questions and throwing stuff back, it's a good sign of a healthy conversation. When they go quiet, you should be nervous, right? Right. And so scripts really empower you and help you really give a powerful argument on, pricing or whatever. And there's that, I don't know if you guys have downloaded it, but there's a Maps app, and it has like daily scripts that you can use. Wow. They're really powerful. Right. Yeah. Whether it's buyers, sellers, whatever. Nice.
Jonathan Ratcliffe, I think that's awesome. Jonathan Ratcliffe has a question. He said, is there one thing, and he put in all caps, specifically, that you can do to get through a shift? What would that one thing be to get through a shift?
Stay learning based. Watch the market and be open for transitioning with it. I think that's the biggest, most specific thing I can give you, Jonathan, is be willing to change with the market, and do your research so you can recognize it. One thing for us that I can't tell you how many recruits that I met with in Reno when the market was literally crashing. When I got licensed, literally the bottom just fell out. And I would meet with agents, and they were so resistant that was happening. They were not, Gary Keller says, get real, get right. What's really happening right now? So as the market shifts, stay current with what's happening so you have the right information, not fearful information, but the right information. What's happening with interest rates, what's happening, and especially in different pockets, different neighborhoods, different things can be happening, right? So the more you understand the market, and the more that you understand what's happening with the trends, the more powerful you are. So be learning based, understand your market, and just keep getting educated. So when things are changing and you see these new education things coming out, like, hey guys, it's like if short sales came back, for example. Like, I don't think we're going to have a bunch of them right away in Austin, but they'll come back, and they're starting to come back a little bit. It's not going to be the Reno situation, because we just weren't in the market like that before that. But if you see trends coming, be open for that and learn about that. Be interested, be curious about trends in the market, and that way, go listen to Gary Keller's vision speech every year. And he does such a great job.
He tells you to be your local economist.
That's right.
That's
exactly.
your job.
It's your job. And here, use my slides that I put together with my research team. Mm-hmm. And now take it, and then ask the title companies send me the monthly reports. Mm-hmm. Stewart Title has a great report they send out every month with every different mini area, right? And just really understand what's going on in the market. So and don't be fearful.
I think that's an interesting answer to a question. Because he said specifically, so I think he was like, I'm going to speak for you, Jonathan. Maybe thinking of something like, I should be doing door knocking. I should be on social media more. I should be calling expireds more. But you're saying be learning based, be the local economist.
Learn your numbers, and absolutely, if you want to make it prospecting based, go to what activities you could do.
But become informed about what those activities
so you can have those conversations. Right. For me, lead generation is just a given, right? But in those markets, when it's shifted, you should be doing it more than ever, right? You have to up your game on all your marketing, actually, but it's prospecting first. It's always prospecting first. More conversations. The conversations don't mean anything unless you know what's happening in the market, right?
Yes.
So absolutely. And door knocking, open houses, that just depends on what's happening in your current market, right? For me in Reno, open houses were not happening. In Austin, Texas, they were.
You need to analyze where your leads are coming from, where is your business coming from, so you can make those choices. So becoming educated about the market, about your business, will help you do specific things to survive a shift.
But specifically, be learning based.
Be learning based. That's great. And I love what you said. When I think people mess up with the marketing, and I think it's just a natural reaction to it happening when things start to slow down, that they start cutting back.
Right.
Do not cut
On
your
the wrong
marketing.
things.
And this is not a self-serving statement.
Yeah.
I do this myself. As soon as I start watching the bank account dip a little bit, better turn those ads off. Better do this. That's stupid. Don't do that.
That's when everybody else is pulling back.
Double down. Put more money into it, because you got to fill those pipelines up.
But be smart about it, right? Don't just... That's the problem, is they're not doing intentional marketing, right? It all has to make sense, and it all has to be tied with your lead gen efforts, right?
Where's your business coming from?
Exactly.
Go double down on those efforts when times are
where are you getting an ROI, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
What's working for you?
He said that was a very helpful answer.
Oh,
thank you,
good.
Jonathan. That was awesome.
I was hoping it was specific enough.
I think you were specific. If you guys have any last questions for Melanie, get those in now. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button.
So my friends are being shy then.
They are. But while if anybody has more questions, add them now. But while they add their questions, if they have any, let's talk about what's next for Melanie.
What is next?
What's
next?
What
time is it?
No, like in live.
Let's see. I have a meeting with my coaches, the 2 coaches, productivity coaches, and then a party for Ryan, who's moving to Plano.
I think I'm talking bigger picture, Melanie.
What is next for Melanie? That's a great question.
I know you didn't you get KWU certified?
I'm KWU certified. I'm Quantum Leap for Kids certified. I'm One Thing certified. I'm Team Leader Hall of Fame. I've done a lot of work on I love training. I love training.
That stuff.
I'm still I think my kids are home. I don't want to be traveling a bunch yet. I think future. I think I could see myself doing something internationally with my German connections, and just I have such a feel for different cultures. I love that. Doing more training, speaking, writing that book.
Yes.
More of my creative side, using more. Actually, my next for Melanie is kind of working on the personal side more, because I've really been working on the business for a decade, honestly. And when you put that much time and energy into something, you've kind of got that.
Yourself gets a little lost.
You do, and Gary Keller says when you're juggling the balls, the health and the personal are the glass one, that if it drops, it doesn't bounce back up, right? So for me, doing more of the personal stuff, more family time, more planning my off time, and I have been doing that, but that's the thing about this company is I just totally trust I'll land exactly where I should, and I have no fear about that at all. I don't feel... This is the thing, is in this role, I never feel pressured. Okay, let me say that wrong. I feel pressured all the time to hit numbers and things like that, but I never feel unsafe in my role. I totally trust I'm in the right position at the right time, like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I'm not sure what's next for me with Keller Williams, but it's just a fun journey,
You know what I love about Keller Williams is there's no shortage of those opportunities.
Right.
It's so big.
It is so big.
I started as an agent, and I never... when I got my license, I had no idea I would be doing this.
Yeah.
I see people come in.
I didn't know you started as an agent.
Yeah. I started as an agent.
Did you sell any houses?
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know more than I thought.
Damn.
I mean, about real estate. I didn't realize that you'd gone through sales and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
With other people, right?
What do you mean with other people?
Clients.
yes, I had clients.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't.
So I think in fact, when I'm doing some orientation, sometimes I tell people look at all the opportunities.
Absolutely.
The ecosystem of Keller Williams. You can be here for a long time. I love what you said about never close the door on anybody.
Yeah.
Always welcome them back, and that welcome back is not always in the form of selling real estate.
Right.
It's a huge ecosystem. So check out Keller Williams.
I think that's one of the things when I was choosing where I was going to be and what really drew me into Keller Williams is, and I tell people this all the time, everybody comes with a story already. You already come with a skill set and talents and things like that. So you're looking for a company that's going to accelerate that, right? And you don't want to be in a company that's going to be stifling, but it's going to empower you and help you become a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's immediately what I felt like at Keller Williams. Like this is the place where I would never outgrow, whether it's going to be a coach or the team leader role and whatever it is, right? There are so many. Look at our teams nowadays. Our teams, you talk about, you look at Tim Heil's team. He's got a CEO, Wendy's team. They've got so many positions and opportunities they've created within their team that didn't exist a few years ago.
When I started.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing.
Totally changed.
And nobody is doing that like Keller Williams does, right?
Yeah.
And it just gets bigger and bigger. And that's what's so cool is that Gary Keller, he leads by example, right? He creates a company that's so big that so many of us talented people can't get enough of it. Like we're not maxed out. If anything, it accelerates us all.
He also talks about that's how you retain talent.
Exactly.
Your circle, your vision has to be big enough to fit their vision, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
So I love that. So if you're interested in joining Keller Williams, you can list me as your sponsor.
And I'll be happy to meet with you.
And Melanie would be happy
to
to
Austin,
meet with
Texas.
You. That's right. All right. Thanks so much, Melanie.
My
this
pleasure.
was fun.
Oh, it's always fun with you, Chad.
Thanks. Do you want to do it again sometime?
Sure.
I think you should.
Okay.
I think you have more to share.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. This video, started with the audio at the beginning, but anyway.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry you missed that. Dang.
Yeah, it was really good. It's the best I've ever done. Ever.
Thanks, Matt. Good job.
Bye.
You did a
Thank you,
wonderful job
guys.
there. Thank you.
Have a great 2017. Woohoo!